What's going on this week in Nerf?
Welcome to This Week in Nerf, your source for first-party, third-party, and community Nerf news. I'm Adriana, and this week we have some awesome blasters and some sad announcements, and then more awesome blasters, so we'll look on the bright side. We now have a pretty good first look at the rival finisher from Nerf Taiwan. They get blasters early all the time, and I'm so happy that he makes these videos to show them off a little bit. Love watching him. I like that he goes into a lot of detail about how the mag actually works. That's the finisher's main feature, is that there's a hole in the mag so you can reload it on the fly, even while it's inside of the blaster. If you do pull it out of the blaster, there's even more space in the mag where you can load more ammo. And that's a pretty cool feature. However, it does seem a little bit finicky. I'm not sure if he was demonstrating something specific or if he was actually having trouble. Definitely need to wait on some English reviews for this one, because they could be a little iffy there. Another downside is the finisher's mag might not work in other blasters. He did show trying out the finisher's mag in a Helios, and it did not catch properly. So at least in the Helios it doesn't work, probably more blasters it doesn't work, and even if you find one that it does catch okay in, you probably won't be able to use that reload on the fly feature. But standard rival mags will work in the finisher, so at least there's that. After watching this video, it seems like the rival finisher is a little more similar to the Knockout than the Chronos in function, despite its form factor looking very much like the Chronos. On the Prime, the muzzle moves forward and backward, and I think that likely means that it breaches very similarly to the Knockout. And if that's true, if I'm right, that's a huge quality of life improvement, that it breaches and primes in a single action, and it'll be super cool to see some brass breach mods for this one too. I know that there were a ton of awesome brass breach mods for the Knockout, and this is an even cooler form factor in my opinion. Looking forward to it. Over the last several weeks, I've had to make a sad cancellation announcement every week, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I'll have Drac do it for me. Over to you, Drac.
Thanks, Addy. It is with deepest regret that Endwar has been postponed to next year, which is a lot like a cancellation, but fortunately a lot of the game design, the development, the props, etc. that went into making this year truly out of this world can go into the can, and they're not going to expire as we wait for next year. But Endwar will not be happening in 2020 due to the ongoing pandemic situation. Fortunately, Penn State does want us to return in 2021, so we've canned the game. We're moving it all the way 1 year forward into 2021 at Penn State. We're shooting again for a late June target date. Very usual for Endwar, very typical for us, and a lot of the things, like I said, are going to carry over. If anything, you're going to have a much better experience in 2021 than you would have had in 2020, just because that's a whole extra 12 months of planning, preparation, exacerbation, etc. So we're in a really good shape. We're excited for 2021. We are, of course, very sad about the current situation and that we have to postpone, but we're hopeful for the future. We are, of course, excited to host you all again next year in 2021 at Penn State. If you'd like a full explanation or just a loftier, wordier version of this, we did a full debrief on the Endwar pages and the event pages. Everyone who signed up for the Foam Pro Tour at this point has been refunded, and that's the really only like 2-player expense that needed to be accounted for, and we just decided to clean that up on the front end since it's a mess no matter how you slice it. Back to you, Addy.
Thanks for doing the hard part for me. At least the silver lining is you'll be sure to have an amazing event next year with a whole extra year to plan and refine. So this next blaster, we missed it a couple of weeks ago, but there has been a small update, so it's news again. And I'm sorry again to Michael Dixon, we totally should have seen it the first time, and it's clear there was a lot of work and love in here, and it definitely deserves recognition. So let's get the baseline stuff out of the way. What is the Ultrasonic? This is a 3D printed brushless blaster that is easily the most full-featured blaster I've ever seen. Everything is controlled by a touchscreen, so the interface is super intuitive. It's got standard select fire with semi, burst, and full auto, and all of that's adjustable. The velocity, the number of darts in a burst, the rate of fire. And it has an ammo counter that can either count down your mag capacity or count up to just tell you how many shots you fired that game. It's got presets available for high and low power modes. There's a battery display that's in percentage, which I like and I find more comfortable than just voltage numbers, but most of that has been done before. Here's what's new and cool about this blaster. The trigger is two-stage, so you could do a short pull for single fire or a long pull for full auto, like a built-in panic button. There's a rev trigger that's completely programmable, but a good use case might be holding it down for the high-powered shots all the way across the field, and not holding it down for if you're shooting at children or somebody really close range. There's a hit timer you can activate to count down your respawn for you, with the option to lock the blaster during that time if you need to. There's a counter for how many tags you got and how many you took to calculate your KD ratio. There's a timer to track the length of the game and be sure you're making that last second rush to the objective in time. If you're playing HVZ, you can put the timer on a loop so you know when that rolling 5-minute respawn is coming without fiddling with a phone or a watch. There's an admin anti-cheat lock that's easy for admins to set and incredibly complicated for the player to undo. There's another settings lock for if you're just loaning it to a friend and you don't want them to mess your settings up. And if you don't like the color of the interface, you can change that too, which is totally unnecessary, but it's there. If that sounds like a lot of features, that's because it is. I didn't even get to talk about the aesthetics of the blaster, and at this point, I'm running out of time. Just wow, it looks good. While Michael Dixon doesn't like making FPS claims, someone has claimed to fire it in the 190s. So with the ability to power it down and the willingness of the creator to add even more features, this blaster seems like a solid option for nearly any tier of game. And now it has the option to take Talon mags, so short dart players could get their ultrasonic fix too. Whew, and it's open source. All of the links are down there. It's cool. And now I want to do a segment I've been meaning to do for a while, and it's going to be an every once in a while thing, but this is the very first Club Spotlight. And for this one, I want to feature the Western New York Nerf Club, the WNYNC. And they are an all-ages super stock war with a 150 soft cap, and they play every month during the summer and occasionally in the wintertime. I guess I can understand that it's difficult to host a winter war in New York. It's pretty cool that they're close enough to Toronto to be able to play with some of our Canadian friends, and the park that they play in is gorgeous. The trees look good enough for single-person cover, and they're spread out pretty evenly and far enough that you can get some awesome sniper shots that just feel amazing. And then that's supplemented with some PVC cover to make it just a really good map. They cycle through a bunch of different game modes. You have the usual capture the flag, deathmatch, humans versus zombies. But one of their game modes that caught my eye was Chicken Ball. I love the name Chicken Ball, it just sounds so fun. Essentially, it's Carpe or Seize the Balls, where you just have to grab the balls out of the basket and bring them back to your side. But there's also rubber chickens that are worth more points, and I'm sure that encourages a lot of reckless play, which personally, I love to see and I love to do. It seems like they are pretty involved in the New York community in general. On their Facebook page, I saw them promoting several other events that were somewhat nearby, and I love seeing the community involvement and reaching into other clubs in the area. So if you are in the Western New York area, check out WNYNC.com or search for them on Facebook and go play a game when all of this sickness stuff is over. And that brings us to the mod of the week. And this week, it comes from Nick LaPlante. This is the Spartan ECS. And I almost scrolled past this one. Why would someone name a Stampede? That's boring. Well, it turns out it's not a Stampede. This is actually a Rapid Strike Raven integration that was inspired from a Nerf video game where they had a blaster called the Spartan that doesn't actually exist in real life. But this thing is so clean that it looks like a stock blaster. And inside, it's got a SILD Rapid Strike Select Fire board, it's running 2S Fang revamps, Cyclones, and a 42mm cage, and the paint is so bright and the integration's so clean. It was a really clever idea well executed, and thank you for sharing. And that's all the news I have this week. Thank you so much for watching. As usual, the links to everything I talked about is in the description, along with the like button and the subscribe button, so you should push those. And also, on Saturday, April 18th, is when FOAMFEST Live is happening. On Twitch and on Facebook, you should tune in and watch people talk about Nerf, raise some money for charity. It'll be a really good day. I hope to see you all there. Bye!